or may have come forward, but the reality is that it is simply too high. People need to be willing to report it, and we need to be able to support them in doing that, but we do need to work better on how we can reduce rape and serious sexual violence across the county. We've started to do it in the domestic violence area, so we've done some really good work, I think, with victims of domestic abuse and then with perpetrators, so that the level of domestic abuse in the county is now some 15% below where it was at its peak, but that's still not where it needs to be, and we have a lot more to do there. And the same is not yet true of other rape and serious sexual assault. And then, of course, we do have other things that we need to deal with that come up as things happen in society. So we've seen a recent spate in the last couple of years of vehicle theft. You've probably experienced it here. Certainly in Wickford, they had a very large amount of it. And we've been working closely with the vehicle manufacturers. They've given us some funding. We've been invented ourselves in how we deal with it. Certainly getting better at tracking and tracing and bringing vehicles back from where they've been, but also in busting the chop shops that do that work, and working as well to make sure we roll up the criminal gangs who organise it. So I think we've managed to stop the rate of increase, but we've still got a way to go to actually get on top of that crime wave as we would want to. And similarly, I have to say, shoplifting. That's a national trend. It's been across the piece. We've seen a lot of shoplifting, organised shoplifting, repeat shoplifting, prolific shoplifting happening, particularly since COVID. It seemed to be something which took off in the post-COVID recovery. There we are again. We've got new tactics. We're doing a lot in terms of working better with the retailers, understanding how to keep them safe. There have been a lot of assaults on shop workers. Those are areas where we are concentrating as well in terms of turning the tide. So some things we think we are doing well on, some things we know we have to do more on, and similarly actually in terms of fire and rescue, real focus there in terms of working out where vulnerable people are. It's a really horrible fact that the majority of people, in fact last year all of the people who were killed and seriously injured in dwelling fires were vulnerable in one way or another, dysfunctional in one way or another, was challenged in one way or another, and we just need to make sure that we know who they are and that we can give them a safe and well visit or a home fire safety visit in advance, and make sure that they are actually kept safe and able to, if something bad does happen, that there is a smoke alarm, a fire alarm, whatever it may be, that will get us there and help them in a way that they need to be helped, so that we can actually get the number of people being killed and seriously injured down. And that of course applies to road safety as well, which both of the services are very involved in. Road safety remains the biggest killer in the county, and that is somewhere where we know we have more to do. We work very closely with highways agencies, with our fellow friends in the local councils, and do a lot there, but there is a lot more to do. Been a success over the last 10 years, but again since COVID, been a big increase in bad driving. And it is bad driving, it is basically criminal driving. It is people speeding, using their mobile phone at the wheel, drink driving or drug driving that kills people. So I just think we need as a society to become much more intolerant, much less tolerant of that sort of behaviour, and hope very much that we can get people to recognise the dangers of that as they have from other behaviours such as smoking, which has gone down a long way. The upshot of the strained financial situation and being able to keep the services in the position that they are, sadly has meant that to fill the gap that was left by government grant, I have had to increase the council tax precept for both of the services by 5.7% for policing and by just under 6% for fire and rescue. So that, I'm afraid, will be hitting you in your bank balances and your incomes from the 1st of April. I can try and pretend it's not a lot of money. For the average property, it's just under £14 for policing, and for fire and rescue only £5 in a year. But nevertheless, it is a substantial percentage increase, and I know that this all adds up. And just as every little helps, every little also hurts. So we just have to recognise that. But I have had strong feedback from the public pretty much across the county that what they want to see is themselves kept safe, better policing, better fire and rescue, and that there has been a willingness to pay for that. I would really love to be able to do it for less, but was really pleased that the government came through at the last minute on the back of representations, not just by me, but also by the local council leader, by other local council leaders up in Colchester, and by a number of MPs. We managed to get some extra money out of them, which saved us from having to downsize the community sport officers, the police community sport officers in the county. I'm glad we managed to do that, but it's still not a generous settlement, and we've had to do what we've had to do. So I would really ask for your indulgence and support in doing that. Thank you. That's probably enough from me. Can we please go to questions and answers? Glenn will go around with the microphone. We are recording this. We're broadcasting it to the watching millions. So we're reaching out to more people. It does get recorded. It does get put on our website. If you use the microphone, then people will hear your question. If you wish to identify yourself, please feel free to do so. The camera will not catch you. It's pointed at us, so you don't need to identify yourself at all. But it is for you to do so if you wish to. You've just missed my preamble, but you've got here in time for the questions and answers. So welcome. Thank you for coming. Glenn.
Any questions there, first of all?
Danny, Borough Councillor, but I'm here from Gateway tonight. A couple of observations and a question. Question is, you mentioned about the increase in the council tax precept. What effect is the custody being closed, or the front counter being closed at Basildon having an effect on policing? And are those police officers now, I'm told, having to go to Southend? Is that taking policemen off the beat in Basildon? And also, I've heard a story where some of them have gone to Gravesend across the county to another county. So is that having an effect on the amount of officers in the town? And secondly, being based in the Eastgate Centre, we've seen a rise. I know the police know this already, but we've seen a rise in antisocial behaviour. And quite dramatically during the half term. What is being done to try and address these areas of concern?
Thanks, Danny. So I'll give a quick one on the, you asked about the financial implications of it, but I'll hand over to the Chief Superintendent, to Chief Superintendent Bradford to talk about the custody, and then perhaps to Chief Inspector McGee to talk about the DSB. So the custody issue has not been driven by the budget at all. It's about how to do custody better. And it's been an issue across the county for a while. It's a question of making good use of the cells that we have and making good use of the custody sergeants that we have. The crime has gone down, as I've said, particularly more serious crime. And to some extent that means we're using the custody less than we were. So we're just trying to make sure that we are doing that in the way that means that we have the maximum number of officers available to be out on patrol with you and keeping you safe. Here in Basildon, we have well over 200 officers. Your police station is well staffed, full of people. You talked about the front counter closure. That is driven by cost. Looking at it across the county, people just don't go to police station front counters anymore. We closed the one in. Sorry. We closed the one in Brentwood. I'll come to you in a second. We closed the one in Brentwood a few years ago. I live in Brentwood. Before we closed it, it had an average of less than 10 people a month going to visit it. So there's little point in having someone sitting there waiting for nothing to happen. I'll come to you and then I'll go to the Chief Superintendent, okay? Do you want to give the gentleman the mic?
Yes, certainly. Here you go, sir.
You say crime figures are going down, but how do you count those crime figures? Where do you get the information from? Because if you get it from 101, they don't give you a crime number half the time. ASB is going up, not going down. Especially in Wickford.
So I would agree with you in Wickford we have an issue we need to deal with. And I would agree with you that in Wickford we have an issue that we need to deal with.
Right, so
yeah.
if it's an issue in Wickford, it's an issue everywhere.
That's not true.
And you said Basildon Station is fully manned. I never see a policeman in Wickford, or anyone. They're never around. And if you phone up 101, they're very slow to answer. They don't give you a crime number, and if they're antisocial behaviour, they say refer it to the council.
So I think, can we come to the issues of Wickford and 101 after we've answered the first two questions? Because if we don't do it in order, we'll
Yeah.
go out of whack.
But
Your questions are
you
very
did-
welcome,
you
and
did
we
say
will come to
ASB is going down, but
on
it's
the,
not.
on the crime figures, we don't just take what's called in. Of course, we look at police recorded data, but we also have, I commission an independent survey that looks across the county and talks to people about what their experience is as well. And the government does the crime survey of England and Wales. And we therefore,
no one's ever spoken to me.
well, it doesn't speak to every resident in the county, I'm
No,
sure you
so
understand that.
surveys are not reliable.
Okay. The surveys tell us the same as the reported crime data, as the data from the police on patrol, as from our other sources. So I'm very confident that we have a good picture of what's going on crime. What we'll do is we'll answer the first two questions. Then can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll answer the first two questions, and then we'll come back to your questions, and then we'll go to the ladies' questions. Chief Sue.
Thanks, Commissioner, and thanks, Danny, for the question. I think not the last time I saw you, but the time before that, you were grilling me on the radio. So I'm glad to have it again. So in all seriousness, you spoke about that, and I absolutely recognise there's significant concerns around the potential closure of Basildon custody. I want to start by saying Dan updated me. I've only been back in this area for the last couple of weeks, but Dan updated me that there's been some concern from other residents about the complete closure of Basildon Police Station. To be really, really clear, that is not happening. This is purely about the custody provision. As the Commissioner has said, this isn't this specifically about custody. This isn't about making cost cuts. This is about trying to improve the service that we offer. So at the moment, we've got our custody staff spread bluntly too thinly across the number of custody sites we've got in Essex, which means when officers arrest someone and they take them into the custody suite, it takes ages to get them booked in, and they have to do lots of different processes where we interview someone. I'm sure people have seen the TV programmes of the way custody works. When they interview someone, they stand there in a queue waiting to be allowed to go and interview them. There's so many delays in our custody process, and these proposals that are going through are about trying to make that better. So a reduction in the number of suites, which means more staff available at each suite individually, which should mean less time spent waiting. Our fundamental desire here is to not have police officers standing in custody waiting in queues. It's to have them on the streets trying to respond to emergencies, help the public, respond to emergencies, help the public, and generally do our role, not stuck in the police station. So the proposals are going through. The Chief Constable has been really committed to keeping the public updated about this. So there's still some finalisation that needs to be done to them, and just keep an eye on our website or on our Facebook page to keep up to date with what's going on with that. You separately mentioned the front office proposals in terms of the closure of front office. The Commissioner has already given points around that. At the moment, that's going through what we call the consultation phase, and there's kind of human resources elements to that, so I can't go into too much detail around it. But again, as soon as we've got information about that, the Chief Constable will be more than happy to give you more information about it. And then I think the second part was around specifically antisocial behaviour in Eastgate, which Dan, I'm happy for you to talk about. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. In terms of the ASB matters in the town centre, obviously we're aware of what's been going on in the half term, and I know from speaking to my officers when a call for service was put out to us, we attended and we did arrest 2 people. So I'm confident that when you need us, we are there and we do call. Obviously visibility in the town is really important to me and really important to my team. We are there, we are always deploying to the town, being visible, and we're working really hard with our partners closely to make sure that we get that right level of coverage. And I know, Danny, you know this, and your colleagues as well know that I'm really accessible to you guys to talk you through some of the new plans and things we're doing, and there is certainly plans ahead to improve neighbourhood policing with the neighbourhood policing guarantee, about making increases to our local provisions of officers and staff, so that's going to be really exciting to see in the future. And I think, with regards to ASB in general in the district, I think it is important to mention that it has reduced. So what's been reported, incidents, has gone down in Basildon by 7.6%. That's 147 less ASB incidents in Basildon, which is really important, and we need to make sure we celebrate that success. But I'm not complacent. There is more work to be done, and that includes all of us as a community of stakeholders and partners and police working together to improve it.
Okay, I'll now come to your questions, if I may, which were, I think, about 101 and about what we're doing in Wickford. Is that
Right.
fair?
Okay.
Yeah. So, 101, it's not quite as bad as it used to be, but it's not where it needs to be.
It's still quite bad.
Yeah, it's still the dropped rate on 101 at the moment is around 30%, which is just unacceptably high. People just hanging up and not following through. Last year we invested another £1 million in improving 101. We have a new operating model in the Force Control and Contact Centre. Those changes, new people, new teams, are online from March, so from next month. So I am expecting to see a step change in our 101 performance from next month. And it should be an awful lot better over this summer than it has been before. We'll be back and you can tell us how much it changes. It sounds as though you use it quite a bit and you've obviously not had a good experience with it. I can't say that you're wrong. It has not been where it needs to be. It needs to be a lot better. We, of course, prioritise 999. 999, the answer time there is less than 10 seconds, and you do get a good response from that. But 101 has simply been taking too long. The average time used to be well over 20 minutes. It's down now in the low teens. It needs to be down to well below 10 minutes, ideally around 5, if we can get to that sort of stage. Experience elsewhere in the country tells us that the public are prepared to put up with that sort of wait to get the answer that you need. Not just to get the phone answered, but to get the answer that you need via the 101 service. But where we are right now isn't where it needs to be. So yes, we're working on that one. You then said Wickford. Now Wickford is somewhere where we have been working quite hard. We're putting together a plan because Wickford's obviously, its town centre has been subject to an awful lot of antisocial behaviour. So we've been talking with both the district council, borough council, sorry, and with the newish Wickford local town council, because our experience elsewhere in the county has been that if we can get those partners on board and get a plan together, we can actually make quite a difference. The example I would cite to you is what we did in Witham, where we worked with Braintree District Council and with Witham Town Council. They helped us find some special constable volunteers who formed a really good town centre group there. They've also, on their side, employed some community safety wardens. We've invested, my office has invested a substantial chunk in CCTV and improving that. And that plan has come together and we've made a huge difference to the level of crime and antisocial behaviour in the centre of Witham. We're having those conversations now with Witham Town Council. I believe that Claire from my office actually has a meeting with them tomorrow, which hopefully will help take that to the next stage. We've actually introduced them to Witham Town Council, so Wickford and Witham are now exchanging ideas about how it can work. And I'm really optimistic that if we can replicate what we've done. I mean, Witham's not just because it begins with W. It's a remarkably similar size community and had some of the very similar issues that you have in Wickford. I'm optimistic that we can replicate what we've done there, which has made such a big difference. It's been a bit of a challenge as well because community safety wardens are an important element of that, and you've probably seen in the press that the leader of the Borough Council and I have been having a disagreement about who needs to do what, and he's been backing off on one side in terms of, I think your community safety wardens are not being sustained, but I won't bring you on that because this is very political. It's okay. But we need that not to get in the way of keeping people safe.
Right. Hold on, but where are the actual policemen or police women in Wickford?
Okay, so we do, the joint patrols are 2/3 police, 1/3 local. Okay, so it's not that we are relying on other people. It is community policing patrols. But maybe would you like to comment on that one?
Well, thank you for the question first and foremost. And what I can reassure you is we regularly support the markets. We're always there with PCSOs and police officers. We support a number of community events like Park Run. One of my sergeants actually ran in that race, and he tells people he won it, but I don't think he did. Wickford is really important. It is an important area in the district, and it's something that we are working really hard on with our partners to improve the service there. And I can give you a number of examples of recent policing activity there where we've arrested and charged people for serious offences, burglaries, chop shops we've enforced on and recovered stolen vehicles. That's a really important message to people. Okay, in terms of ASB, then that is, and like we say, we understand and I empathise that we need to get better at responding to ASB in Wickford, and visibility, as I've said in the town centre in Basildon, is really important. But we do have dedicated officers to Wickford, beat officers that look after Wickford.
Yeah, but I never see anyone.
And
Where
I have
are they?
Well, they are there. They are there. They are patrolling, and they are there, and they work shifts of earlies and lates.
Do
They
they
are
ever
definitely
walk
there.
down the streets?
They walk town
Or
centres,
they
yeah.
in the car and never get out?
That's a good point to raise. But the direction we give in terms of all the operations that we do is they're out in the communities. Certainly on the market days, they're out in person, walking around. So, but I get your point around sort of the residential areas, and we are doing a lot of work when it comes to residential operations to be in your streets. We're doing an initiative very soon we're launching called Right Up Your Street. So we're actually going to have people advertised to the community to say, we are in this location, come and talk to us, come and patrol with us, come and tell us your concerns so that we can deal with those hotspot issues.
Right. I've actually been to one of those meetings. But you don't take any minutes. You don't get any response from anyone. Do they come back to the police station? Do they say what the public say? Because I never had a response from anything.
Okay, that's a good point. Let me take that away and I'll come back. If you leave me your details at the end, I'll make sure that the way that we report that back in is professionalised and acted upon. But I've got a really talented team in Wickford that really care about reducing ASB there. And I'm really confident that some of the work we've done in the crime is indicative of showing that we are there and we are responding to our public.
Right. Electric lights up and down the pavement, nothing happens. You've got the CCTV cameras. Do you talk to the council about it? Do you actually track people?
Yeah, we do talk to the council about that, and we'll take action. If you send us evidence, we will take action. It's difficult to identify people if we haven't got registration plates on e-bikes. But if we're there and you call it at the time, then we will certainly go and look for that person and try and stop them.
But all you've got to do is be there at night and see Deliveroo people driving on the pavement, up and down. You know, that's not right, is it?
No, it's not right, and I'd like to know more details about that. If we could speak afterwards, I'd like to take that away.
The trouble is, people feel they're paying a lot more money and they're not getting any value for it. Now, you guys do a good job, but your PR is not very good. What you need to do is have more presence walking up and down or around the streets, or have a pop-up police station in the high street and talk to people. Otherwise, we just don't think we've got police force there.
Okay. It's a good question, and I know we're working with the council about potentially opening a community hub, aren't we? Julie, did you want to come in?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to pick up a few points actually. One is with regards to antisocial behaviour within the town centres, just to offer some reassurance that we are currently carrying out, and we've been working with our colleagues at the Eastgate, town centre safety audits, and essentially what that is just looking at our stakeholders, what our issues are, and then what we need to do to resolve those issues. And we've been doing that with our police colleagues as well. With regards to our community safety wardens, that is correct that the community safety warden will come to an end at the end of March. That, however, is not to say that we're not looking at other initiatives going forward. I think what we're doing as an organisation, because community safety is one of our top 5 priorities, is making sure that the service that we have is fit for purpose, and we're going to do that by meaningful consultation with members of the public, meaningful consultation with businesses, and we're also working closely with Wickford Town Council with regards to them getting a town warden potentially within the town centre. So again, it's something that's bespoke and fit for purpose for that high street. With regards to the community hub within Wickford, our leader and our portfolio holder, Councillor George, announced very recently that we would be opening a community hub within Wickford, which will be placed on the site where the existing police station is. So there'll be a modular unit placed there, which will be
There's a building there, isn't there?
it was. The building, yeah.
But it's not a police station.
Sorry,
It's the former police station.
the former police station. It,
That's
Well
what it's
former.
known to the public as, is the police station.
yeah. So that the modular site will be on that location. Thank you.
Sorry, I believe that you've just wanted to just have a few words.
Thank you. I was going to wait my turn. I'm Councillor George, for those who don't know me. I am the portfolio holder for community safety and enforcement. I'd like to thank Julie for her fantastic explanation there. I don't really appreciate that it's not a political meeting. We don't need to drag in, the leader has said we're getting rid of the community wardens. We're doing that for a reason. We don't believe that they are value for money for the public, and we are looking into other ways to ensure that we are keeping them safe by being a lot more proactive rather than reactive, and we feel that's the best thing to do. So, politics aside, we're looking out for the public. We feel this is the best way to keep them safe, and we would appreciate, as Julia said, we've got consultations going at the moment. We will respond to those accordingly.
Thank you for your comments. It goes against the experience and academic research to say that community wardens don't prevent crime, and it's certainly where we have them elsewhere. It works really well. It would be nice to have had a consultation about it with each other before the decision were taken.
I've just got a very patient lady that's been waiting here for us. I'll come to you, I'll go to this, and then the lady at the back, and then I'll come to yourself.
No worries.
I've written a few notes down. I came tonight, I live in Leyden, so I'm just down the road. Obviously we've got Leyden Shopping Centre, we've got work going on there at the moment with the roads. They're doing loads of work around there at the moment. They've cleared a lot of land. We're hoping for maybe a drop-in service, open road, for people less fortunate that need a bit of extra support, maternity, everything. We're just praying for that area a lot at the moment. So I've made a few notes, like I said, shoplifting. I used to work in retail. I worked in fashion retail in Basildon Town Centre. I also worked in a very targeted petrol station in the town centre. I actually lost my job because of in a confrontational situation with a shoplifter. But posters. Basildon, I don't know about Wickford, but Basildon, we're great at doing food banks. We've got loads of food banks. We've got the Trestle Trust, which the Citizens Advice Bureau supports. Could we not advertise it? Could we not give posters out to local retail stores and say the Trestle Trust's number, so that it's there? So again, like what the lady said, we're being proactive through advertising within the store what is in the local area. Vulnerable people, I think I just addressed that, the hope for drop-in centres. I work with the patient participation group at Leyden Health Centre, and we're always having conversations with the clinical commissioning group about better services within our local area that help those vulnerable and less fortunate. Vehicle theft, an interesting one, this just sprung to me. Chop stops. Would we be, are we missing out on a good opportunity there of improving young people's lives and young people's opportunities by having a recruitment and armed forces recruitment centre in Basildon Town Centre? I know we have a recruitment centre over in Chelmsford, and we have a lot of armed forces stuff go on here. Would we be maybe avoiding the situation of people going out and stealing cars and wanting to chop them up into pieces if we try and push them into Navy or Army military sort of areas through a recruitment office? It's an interesting one. Road safety, again, unfortunately, work over in Grays at the moment, so I have to drive along Brentwood Road. They had 3 accidents there, one actually critical, a young man lost his life. It's a lot of potholes. It's lit and it's got we've got those traffic cameras on that road, and that's London Road at Orsett, as you go past Orsett Hall. I don't know why there's so many accidents there. It is a road that you're always very cautious of because you know it's a long country lane, so it's always quite disheartening. And there's been a lot of work through like improving that road round there on the way to Grays and to Thurrock from Orsett in the back of Langdon. Council tax, more money, yeah, be great. The closed police stations, when I was job hunting, there was a lot of problems with police stations and their upkeep, like the maintenance of the police stations, and I wonder if that may be why. ASBOs, how about table tennis? Something simple in the town centre alongside the benches and things. And then, yeah, I've just put custody. You're saying about the custody suites in the police station being better. There's also the probation, offender outreach services, preventing crime in the first place through having good community mental health services for young people, youth housing, community support offers, neighbourhood policing. Yeah, I'm here crying today actually because I've got refused from my application from the police. So yeah, they're happy ideas, but sad tears.
I think there's a lot to touch on there, some of which we've already covered, but I think there was a lot about roads and road crime within there, so perhaps that's something we might